Pause. Do y'all remember that episode on Martin when Tommy Davidson hit that jump? Did you miss me? As Puff dealt with his demons, a phone call from Deirdre reminded me that I needed to return to Atlanta to deal with mine, namely the cocaine charges stemming from the search of her car. Don't worry about it, Mark, Puff said as we sat by the pool at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I'll have you talk to Johnny when we get to Atlanta. I got you covered. A few weeks later, Puff and I were sharing a table in the VIP lounge at an upscale restaurant on Peachtree with none other than Johnny Cochran. After quick introductions and some chit-chat, Puff turned to me and said, "Tell Johnny about the problem you got going on here." I told Cochran about the search of Deidre's car. I also told him that I had not hired a lawyer and that I definitely couldn't afford him right now. He smiled and replied, "No, but Puff can, if he got your back." The three of us laughed, first at Cochran's use of street slang, and secondly because he wanted to make sure that Puff intended to pay him up front. Let me tell you about the Puffy. Mr. Puffy was all jokes and giggles until Cochran started feeling that Puffy don't had his due back for real, that Puffy was only bringing in Cochran to peacock. It's like they stunting, they showing off. That's what a peacock is. And basically all Puff Daddy was trying to do was just show Mark that he had connections to Johnny Cochran. He wasn't finna pay that boy fee. Hold tight. Thinking that Cochran's next words would be, "Sure, Mark, I can represent you." I started smiling like a man who just won the lottery. I couldn't believe the same lawyer who helped O.J. Simpson walk was going to represent me. An acquittal, I figured, is all but assured. "Let me give you some advice, Mark," Cochran said as he leaned towards me. "You should hire the best criminal attorney in Atlanta because he'll be familiar with the judges here and will therefore be in a better position to cut a deal for you. Yes, that does matter. But a lawyer like Johnny Cochran, you can be in Dubai and the judge will have a relationship with Johnny Cochran. God damn it, it's Johnny fucking Cochran." All Puff was doing was peacocking for Mark. "Yeah, you get with me. Yeah, you sign your contract with me. Yeah, you stick close. And you can have lawyers like Johnny Cochran on your side." Hell, I already knew that. If I could have afforded the best local attorney or any damn attorney, I thought to myself as I looked contemptuous at him, I wouldn't be here smiling in your face, sucker. The next day, I began asking around about the best local defense attorneys. The consensus was that I couldn't go wrong with Bruce Harvey, who represented one of the suspects in Atlanta's infamous murder for hire case against Frederick Tokars Harvey. As part of our defense, I got a letter from Puff, an official bad boy letterhead stating that I was essential to the successful completion of the No Way Out tour. My attorney sent the original to the judge trying my case and placing a copy in my case file, which he kept in his office. After several meetings with the prosecutor, Harvey worked out a plea deal, child. Okay. He ain't had to really do any time. He just got sentenced to a couple of hours of community service. Okay? Shasta la vista. Good for you. The problem was he had no money to pay this attorney. He had felt comfortable with believing that although Puff didn't get him Cochran, Puff would help him with the best attorney in Atlanta. And it's a no. When Puff told me that he had me covered, I assumed that he meant that he would cover my legal expenses. Harvey did not come cheap. Once I received his bill, I showed it to Puff, thinking that he would pay it. At the time that he told me that he had the fees covered, he was still waiting on me to finish the song for the Godzilla soundtrack. Listen, Mark Curry, I love you, Mark Curry. I love you. Okay? And that was the song, I think it was called, what was it called? Come With Me. Okay? Looked at the video. Baby, Puff was not the person to do that. It could have been so much greater. Even though it was a successful song, the movie wasn't successful, but the soundtrack was, and the best song on the soundtrack was Mark Curry's Come With Me. Puffy just looked like old Bama to me. I just never been a big fan of Thick Thighs Diddy. After nearly a year passed without Puff paying as much as a nickel on my bill, I called Harvey and promised to pay him as soon as I signed a record deal in a few months. Child, that's worse than I'll pay you back when I get my taxes. The lawyer's office was calling Deirdre's house. Where the fuck is my money? He was happy to hear from me, wished me well, and said that he looked forward both to my success and to stamping paid in full on my account. I had relied on Puff's promises, and now I had to deal with the fact that his word could not be relied upon, and that my trust and faith in him had been misplaced. While Puff was paying for my meals during the tour, I was not getting a salary, no money. So money for basic living expenses was hard to come by. Pause. Do y'all remember that episode on Martin when Tommy Davidson hit that jump? Did you miss me? He was talking mad shiz to Martin, like, yeah, man, come on out, I'll have you on my show. Because the character, embodied Arsenio Hall. But the only person out of the two who believed what the Tommy Davidson character was saying was Martin. When Martin got there, Martin was made to look like a fool. The damn show was over. Martin had to force his way on stage, like what Krishan Rock had to do with that damn Tamar Braxton. How you tell me that I can get on the show and then when I get here, y'all pull stunts. Basically, Krishan Rock had to do the Martin too.
Lately I've had the strangest feeling. Ah, yeah, y'all thought it was over, didn't you? The strangest feeling. Get up, girl, I think you're cheating on me.
So, with that being said, Martin took that character at his word. Mark Curry took Puff at his word. You can't trust no snake. That nigga's a snake. Plus his thighs is too thick. And Mark and Zach are complaining because they don't have no money. They broke. They can barely afford toilet paper in Irish Spring. They ain't got it. They go to Puff. Puff, we need money. Puff say, okay, here goes some front row seats. Because all the front row seats are basically like giveaways. Like, okay, name the watermelon flavor that they use in watermelon now later. Stuff like that, right? Be the 172 caller and you'll win front row tickets. Guys, that would be Mark and Zach would take the front row seats and sell them for $5. they still ain't making enough money to survive out there. They ain't got nothing. The only thing Puff is doing is paying for their meals, and I'm sure he's deducting that from their salary to come. And then the guys come up with the idea, hey, give me some passes. They do that, and they make about $500 per pass. That worked until the security was like, it's too many weirdos walking around back here. Puff came back and said, that's over. I pay the security, I don't pay you. So back to selling front row seats for $5, right? And he said the thing about that was that nobody believed them. They had such a time selling those front row seats because they're like $5 for front row seats. That just don't make sense. Girl, the front row seats be free, okay? It'd be the third and fourth row that be costing $3, $4, $5, $6, $8,000 if you at the Beyonce concert. Zach looked at me and smiled because my exhaustion must have been obvious. I was stealing shut-eye at every opportunity, and I was losing weight because jet lag was killing my appetite. And I was getting more and more stressed out because Puff didn't seem too concerned about the deadline for the song, which he had delegated to me, but was not given any time to work on it. Let me talk to Puff, man, I said. Maybe we can work something out. Forget it, Mark. Zach shot back. The dude is rude to me and too full of himself. I've had it. I'm going back home. The deadline for the song was breathing down my neck. I asked for a clip of the scene where the song would be spliced in and watched it repeatedly. Then I thought about all those people running from the big celluloid green monster named Godzilla, who had scared the hell out of me as a kid. I remember Puff's onstage mannerism and how he moved, walked, and talked in private. That song was too aggressive for Puff. Okay. All of a sudden, the lyrics started pouring out of my pen. By the next morning, I had written a song called Come With Me, a song where the protagonist warns his enemies that he will end their lives if they mess with him, and a song that tells the people to follow me if they want to survive. Puff loved it. That's a hit like a mother sucker, Mark, he said after the first listen. You a bad mother, hunchy. That's a mean mother effer, D-Mac added. He was smiling broadly, now realizing that he had just earned brownie points with Puff and that his investment in me was about to pay off handsomely. We also need to talk contracts, though, I cautioned him. I don't want to get into no legal hassles over my publishing rights with the movies' big shot lawyers. I got you covered, Mark, Puff assured me. I'll protect you. As I smirked, I wondered cynically what the hell he meant by that. Now, this is where we refer back to Berry Bed Bug Bites. Because remember, whenever we read anything about Berry Gordy, we have noticed that Berry Gordy pretty much preyed on a certain kind of person. People who were underprivileged or not educated or not well informed about their rights in regards to the entertainment business, because he knew that if he went around there to the middle class families and picked up kids over there, the middle class families got lawyers and they ask questions. Can't ask too many questions with Berry Bedbug Bites. Okay, he gets nervous. I'm not about to deal with you, your lawyers, and your questions when I can go around there to the projects and find two sets of illiterate parents that didn't birth the star. Okay? And pretty much that's what Puff did. He preyed on certain kind of people. Like now, these new artists, you can't come to them with that bullshit because they're doing well on their own without the big companies behind them. So you can't talk that shit to them. There was a rumor that two of the A&R people were even thinking of putting me under contract and having me record the song. I suspected that might have been true because all of a sudden Puff wanted to rehearse with me night and day. He placed me on a salary as his vocal coach. He would watch me closely, then imitate every inflection, mannerism, and hand gesture that I made as I performed the song for him. He ain't do a good job, Mark. He looked dumb. It looked dumb. I ain't like it. He didn't do a good job. Like I said before, the song did well, very well. The soundtrack was okay, but that song did very well. The movie didn't. So eventually he went back home to Atlanta, okay, to celebrate his success with his family. He at his mama's house with his girlfriend. Bing bong, there's a ring at the door. It's a delivery man. Y'all, this knocked me out. This knocked me out. Okay, the package had a very expensive champagne or something and a note that said, "Thank you from Bad Boy and cohorts or whatever." That man turned to his mama and said, "Mama, I made it," and started tearing up. Fuck no. No. And I know his heart, he feels like he has something. But when you have nothing, a bottle of champagne can appear to be everything. You see what I'm saying? That you can't trust a snake. You cannot trust a snake with thick thighs. Puff and I had increasing disagreements as the release of the Godzilla soundtrack approached. When D-Mac first called me about coming to LA, he said that Puff wanted to sign me to Bad Boy Entertainment. But once the song was completed, Puff refused to release it unless I signed a recording contract with D-Mac's new production company, Finish Line. Look, Mark, we need to get this done. It's now or never. You say that you love me.
Oh,